Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes. Joining us today, Coy Malone and Yolanda Starks White. How are you? Welcome back, Coy.
Thank you. Hey, Sybil. Hey, Yolanda. How are y'all?
Hey, Coy, missed you last week.
Oh,
How was your vacation
my vacation was great. I want to go back now.
today?
Yeah, or like maybe like in a couple of weeks.
Okay, that's a sign of a good vacation.
Mhm.
What was great about it? Where'd you go?
The I went to Puerto Rico and I stayed in a city called Luquillo, which is on the east coast of Puerto Rico. And I visited a lot of other cities, including San Juan and a lot of other neighborhoods. And I loved it because the people were very, very welcoming to me. It felt like a second home. A lot of their traditions and cultures are things that I align with because I believe in a lot of things that are African based, and they are as well. The food was delicious. The experiences were beautiful. The artwork was amazing. The beach was, oh my goodness. The water was so blue. I almost crashed my rental car while I was driving, trying to like look at the water. It was so beautiful. Oh my goodness. There's so much more for me to do and to see when I go the next time.
So, how was the cost of living? Like, how much was a meal? Was it affordable? Was it comparable to here?
A lot of it was comparable to here, and I would say that because the places that I went to were closer to like tourist areas, so I would pay like $30 for a meal for some places. But in terms of the cost of living, a lot lower. One of their top wages there is $11 an hour, which is super low. And
That's
I
not super low.
that is low. That's like one of their top.
Well, I'm
Where
saying,
one
but that's not super low. If you look at and I'm not trying to argue the point, but go ahead.
they're no they still can't, a lot of things they can't afford there on $11 an hour. But I did see that apartments are very, very cheap. I know somebody that has an apartment in Luquillo for $676 a month, and it's a one bedroom, really kind of like a studio. So I haven't seen $600 apartment prices since like shoot the early 2000s, late 90s.
So, did you like? Is that something that they told you, or did you go over there and see it?
Both.
Okay, so
So they
you
told
saw
me
it,
and I saw it.
and
Mhm.
was it nice, or was it like a $600 joint?
Oh, it was like a studio. So, I mean, it was nice for a
Okay,
studio. I could,
Compared to like the studio you
right,
may have had a few years ago.
right. How much would that cost in Atlanta, in the area, and what have you?
okay, so that same studio would easily be at the least, I would say between 1100 to $1,300 for a studio.
Right. Okay.
So I'm like, wow, you're pretty much paying half. But the cost of living is that low, but the wages aren't really making up for that. You
And
find a lot.
that's why a lot of people in this country that are making $11 an hour have to have a second job.
Oh yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So what I am seeing is if you are a little bit more creative or if you're working like in the tourism industry, then you have a better chance of making a lot more money in Puerto Rico, including if you have an Airbnb or some type of something that you can offer tourists. I saw people out there with their own personal jet skis, but they were offering jet ski rides for other people. So I was able to, participate in that at a very reasonable price. But the man and his wife, they were making a lot of money doing that, just setting up and offering people rides for that. So things like that, I think, kind of help in Puerto Rico.
And how far away from the town where you stayed is it from San Juan where you flew in?
It's about 35 minutes without traffic, and with traffic, it takes about an hour, and there's a lot of traffic during the day.
Right.
And
And
did you
what about the
stay?
cost of gas? The price of gas?
It was so cheap. 80 cents. I saw the lowest I think I saw was like 78, 79 cents per gallon.
Well, they don't have all the taxes, I guess, that a lot
Wow.
of places
No, and
do.
they only
Really?
pay, yeah, and they only pay car insurance once a year, and it's like 100 something dollars, maybe 200 something dollars they pay once a year.
Okay.
Got me thinking about some things. I might, rent an apartment and Airbnb it out or something because why
So,
not?
so that was the question. So, did you stay at at somebody's apartment, somebody you knew? Did you stay at a hotel? Did you stay at a resort?
I rented an Airbnb that was a condo right on the beach on Costa Azul, which is the blue coast. And it was a one bedroom apartment. almost like a studio. Very, very unique design to the homes and apartments there, because like how we have our windows like this, their windows have like these metal shutters that you can shut, I guess, for like the weather, hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you open it up, that just gives you like an open air breeze. And a lot of people's kitchens and their living rooms pretty much have that open air concept. So it was very hot.
But it was a one bedroom. It wasn't the bedroom in with the living room and the kitchen.
Correct. Yeah. But it was very, very hot. Oh my, ooh. Oh my
So for
God.
people that are
Was
just
it air
joining us,
conditioned?
Coy, where were you?
Say what?
For people who are just joining us, can you just repeat where you were and what you did and why you were there?
Okay, yes. I was on vacation in Puerto Rico. I stayed in a city called Luquillo on Costa Azul, which is the blue coast. It was very, very hot. Yes, they do
How
have air
hot was it?
conditioning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never checked the temperature. I want to say it was like in the 90s, maybe 100s.
Oh
It was
no,
humid.
not the 90s.
No, but it was
You
humid. I
must
felt like
have
I was in an
melted.
oven bag. I thought I was in an oven bag. It was worse than here. It was worse than Texas. That was worse than any heat I have felt in the world. And I have lived like here. I've been to Texas. I grew up in Southern California. I've been to the desert, and I lived in the Middle East. And all of those places get very, very hot. And this place was hotter.
And how did you
Because
not
of the
know the
humidity.
temperature?
Yes. Say it again.
How did you not know the temperature? Did it ever, the conversation ever come up? How hot is it?
It did, but I didn't want to know because I think it's just like mentally for me, when I know the temperature, then I automatically start feeling hot. So I didn't want to know it. I didn't want to know. So I just went along with my day, and I was fine. I dressed for the weather. Pretty much shorts every day. Socks are a no.
And McCoy, if I had that body, I would be bikinis every day.
Oh, I did that too. Oh, you should
Okay,
see some of the
good.
outfits and some of the ones I didn't wear.
Good.
Didn't have a chance to wear.
Good for you. We were. I'm about that totally. Good.
Yeah, no, I did it. I did
You're still about that.
it.
No, not with this body. No. If I had that body, but not with this body.
You can do it, Yolanda. Just order the clothes and wear them.
Don't give her any more encouragement.
That's what I did, because
Okay.
I have a hard time too. So, but I found outfits finally and made it work, and I had a ball.
So before you go to Coy, we just have one question.
Renita Bland on Facebook is asking, were you alone and did you feel safe? I travel alone, but I feel leery in certain places. Do you ever have any apprehensions while you were there?
Yeah, so I was alone, and that's not how I planned it. I would really love to have a travel partner one of these days, but it just seems that I just end up being alone. I don't know. I think I'm tired of traveling. I'm always traveling alone. My cousins did come in. It was one of my cousins' birthdays, so him and his wife, his brother and his wife, and some of their friends came in on Friday. So I met up with them and hung out on Saturday night. Other than that, I didn't really feel apprehensive. I do a lot of research beforehand. And speaking with the young lady that braided my hair, who did a wonderful job, she gave me a lot of pointers about Puerto Rico and just kind of let me know, like, hey, this is where you don't want to be by yourself at night. She advised me to not be in the neighborhoods inside of Old San Juan at night by myself. I did find myself in the hood at one point in time. I ended up finding a shop that was at a flea market. I didn't know it was at a flea market. And I was like, wow, I'm definitely in the hood, because I definitely recognize, like, this setup and the people. And not to say, I don't know, maybe it is kind of like that in Puerto Rico, unfortunately. I was looking for more Black Puerto Ricans like myself. And I didn't really see them until I got to the flea market or when they were like working in restaurants and things like that. So I was a little disappointed, but it was a lot of similarities to here that will kind of let you know where you are and when. However, I knew to kind of be more near, like, hotels and my Airbnb and things like that at night by myself. And it's just a matter of being, having common sense. Like, don't go to the beach at night by yourself. If you are going out to a club or something like that, be cautious and wary of how many drinks you're having. And if you're driving, be careful. I chose to drove like the locals. They drive crazy. I drove crazy just like them, so they don't think that I'm a tourist.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, and the sign of a good time is wanting to go back. So it looks like a good time was had by all. So
oh, and what's her name? Renita? Was that Renita?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, they're gonna call you the Puerto Rican men every 5 seconds. Mommy, 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 mom. You gonna get a kick out of that. Mommy, 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 mommy. I got a kick out of that. That was fun.
That's cool.
Well, good for you. Coy is our social justice contributor, and she writes in our newsletter several times a week about social justice issues. And in today's newsletter, she writes about the case surrounding the fatal police shooting of Airman Roger Fortson. So give us the background on that, Coy, and tell us where we are now.
So, a little bit earlier this year, we talked about 23-year-old Air Force Airman Roger Fortson, who was fatally shot by a police officer at his apartment in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. During the time, officers were reportedly called to his apartment for a domestic violence situation that was going on. Apparently, there was some type of loud argument. And Roger Fortman's family feels like Fortson's family feels like he was wrongfully targeted because during the time he was in his apartment, he was on a FaceTime call with his girlfriend. They were just having a normal, quiet conversation. He heard a knock on the door. He kept asking who it was. They kept knocking louder. He went to go grab his legally owned firearm. He went back to the door to open it. There were officers there that immediately fired shots, which he later died from at the hospital. So here we are, present day. The officer who was previously fired by the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office has now been charged in the May 3rd killing of the 23-year-old airman, and authorities have issued a warrant for his arrest. And the deputy's name is Eddie Duran. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who is representing Fortson's family, said that this is a step towards justice and there's nothing that can ever bring Roger back. Duran's body camera video showed that he banged on Fortson's apartment door unannounced and followed up with more loud knocks, then identified himself as being with the sheriff's department. When he opened the door, he saw Fortson's handgun, which was pointed down at his side, and it never pointed at the officer. Duran immediately fired open fire multiple times, and Fortson later died at the hospital. So Duran now faces up to 30 years in prison if he's convicted. And the sheriff's department investigation found that someone from the apartment complex called a non-emergency number to report this supposed domestic dispute.
So once again, wrong apartment and wrong shooting of someone
Yes.
in the apartment. So where do they go from here?
From here, we are awaiting trial. I don't have information on when the trial begins and if this officer has yet been arrested. Again, there has been a warrant issued for his arrest. And this is very, very similar to the case that we saw in March 2020, where 26-year-old Brianna Taylor was fatally shot by police who also had a no-knock warrant to raid the apartment that was mistaken for the home of a suspect. And a federal judge in that case just agreed to dismiss the most serious charge against the two former
Can you hold
police
off because I can do
officers
my own story?
for that one. Mm-hmm.
Can you hold off because we want to complete this?
And another update, unfortunately, to this story, which I think we made mention of in recent broadcasts, that Fortson's brother, Andre, was also fatally shot in July after a DeKalb County, Georgia police reports say that two groups of people began to shoot at each other. And I believe he's originally from DeKalb County, Georgia as well. So it's just how much can a mother take and a family take?
How old was this young man?
23. He's very young.
Bless her heart. Bless her. Bless their mother's heart.
That is just the worst kind of losses, because parents are not supposed to bury their children, obviously. But that
let alone two of them.
Just
two of them.
Crazy. Within months of each other. Let's move to It Is Ministry Monday, and wanted to talk a little bit about Willie Mae McIver's article talking about the joy of the Lord. The word joy has become a political buzzword. We heard that a lot last week. in the 2024 election season, talking about joy from a biblical perspective. The joy of the Lord. What's the joy of the Lord? She asks. It start with man's meaning of joy. The definition of that is the emotion of great delight or happiness caused by something exceptionally good or satisfying that gives us inner peace and contentment. However, the joy of the Lord is much deeper than that. And she gives us biblical scriptures. Psalm 16:11 reads, "Joy in your presence. There is fullness of joy. So do something. Get with Him and get your joy, the joy
Amen.
of the Lord." And
Is
so,
my strength.
yeah, Amen,
Yep.
Amen. Also, in the newsletter, I just asked Coy to hold off. That was the story I did about Brianna Taylor, in which the injustices continue in this case. Now, the murder of Brianna Taylor took place 4 years ago, and they're still trying to get out of it and to get away from their responsibilities. A federal judge dismissed the most serious charges against two former Louisville police officers facing federal crimes in connection with the fatal raid on her home in March of 2020. The police were charged with felonies in connection with falsifying an arrest warrant.
Right.
And instead, the judge placed the blame on Brianna's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, who was there, heard noise, and simply was trying to defend his home and his family. In this case, his girlfriend. The judge is U.S. District Court Judge Charles Simpson, ruled that no facts proving that her death was caused by the lack of probable cause. So this never would have happened if they had not falsified or given the wrong information. But he says there is no indication that this is the probable cause of her death. How you make that determination?
So how do they put it on the boyfriend though? What is the
Because he shot. He's the one that hit the initial shot, and that's what started the barrage of bullets from the outside. And they
They're
said,
at the wrong
had
apartment.
they, that's the bottom line. But he says it was his shot that caused her murder.
See, that's
Because
ridiculous.
yeah,
Sybil, I told you today, I gave you a scenario which came first, the chicken or the egg, because there are certain situations where that's the case.
yeah,
This ain't it. We know what came first.
yeah.
But obviously the federal judge didn't know what came first.
hmm
They're protecting their own.
Obviously, this is a first step, but just the fact that they are still trying to implicate this young man in this murder, which other people should be taking responsibility for, is beyond the pale. And I said that in the close, this is why we vote. This judge has been—he's in his 70s. He's been on the court since he was nominated by Ronald Reagan
Oh God.
40 years ago.
How long?
40 years ago.
What? Oh,
This
no, it's
is
time to vote him
why
out.
in Joe Biden's one of his last acts before all of this change with the elections, he was asking for changes in the judicial system, including term limits on the judges. Here's a 70-something-year-old man. I'm not saying that he's not capable, but there should be a time where Supreme Court justices, district court justices should be called back home.
Are
They should
those judges, the federal judges, they are elected. They're not,
no,
they
no,
are appointed. They're not
right,
elected, right?
right, right.
They're appointed
The municipal judges are more those that are for many areas are
that are
those
elected.
that are elected,
Gotcha.
right? And this is a man who is as old, if not older, than Mitch McConnell, a fellow Kentuckian. And it seems like that good old boy network is pretty strong in his reasoning and accepting whatever these policemen, whatever their defense team said, that it wasn't their fault. And there is the chicken and the egg right there, Yolanda. The wrong address and putting it out there for the warrant, that's the cause of her death.
Right. I mean, how, wow. So we don't see what we see. And
Right.
this
We
rain,
see what we want to see.
this rain is water, it's not pee.
Right. Right. Yeah. And tell me that it's raining.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That sounds like a Judge
Mm.
Judaism.
It
Yes.
probably is.
This also is with the why we need to vote, because if the other person gets into the White House or returns to the White House, then that means the Department of Justice is just going to be thrown to hell. And it's not going to end well for Kenneth Walker or any number of other people who have found some justice under Merrick Garland's department. And so this is why we vote. This is why we also look at what they're proposing and who they have nominated. In Donald Trump's case, he's nominated three of the justices that made the determination or made the flip to more conservative causes such as reproductive rights and the removal of Roe versus Wade. And the return of Donald Trump is just going to mean more of that. If that is something that you know is of concern to you. So those are the kinds of stories that we do in the What You Need to Know newsletter. Please take a look at them. If you're not subscribed, we'd love to have you subscribe. Please go to SybilWilkes.com, give us your name and your email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. We ask that when you get your newsletter, please open it every day, and that would help us out a lot. And you'll see stories like Coy's, talking about Airman Foreman, as well as Ministry Monday, and talking about the Brianna Taylor case, which is going on way too long without people taking responsibility for their wrong actions, as well as the strange bedfellow story that I wrote about in terms of Robert Kennedy Jr. from a long generations full of Democrats is jumped out of the race as a presidential race as an independent and is now endorsing Donald Trump. His grandmama is spinning. She is positively spinning, as well as his daddy and his uncles. There's his great grandparents, all of that. They're just positively spinning.
This is almost comedy.
Except it's not funny.
Yeah. And I'm only saying that because
Sybil, can we talk about this in the next segment?
Yep, we'll talk about it
in
trending. And hold on to that, Coy. Let's move to the question of the day. And this is the question that kind of came around before. I want to give people more of an opportunity to talk about this. And the question is, if it's new to you, but it's old to somebody else, what is it? What is that new idea? What is that new place where you went to, you visited, the new place where you checked out to eat, that you bought your clothes, you found great deals at this particular place. And if it's new to you, but it's new to everybody else, share that with us. Yolanda, you want to give your example?
My example is Big Lots. That still blows my mind that Big Lots has been around, and I go there every week, Coy, just to walk around. It's amazing. I love it. But Sybil, also, because I was thinking about this, I didn't realize that the Shein and Temu has been around for as long as it has been. And I'm like, oh my God. And so now, especially young people, whenever I mention, oh, I got this from Shein, they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, really? I'm not telling you something? So yeah, it's a lot of stuff out there, like the TikTok that
the TikTok
that we just don't know about.
Right. Coy, do you have an example of that? Something you just discovered and people are like, oh girl.
That clothes from Fashion Nova actually fit me.
Is what?
Clothes from Fashion Nova actually fit me, because I call it BBL Central, because that's what all their models have, BBLs, boob jobs, and I didn't think I could order clothes from them, so I just kind of just skipped over it for years. And so I ordered.
Another new thing to you, Yolanda, is Fashion Nova.
Well, no, I'm just saying for our age demo, a lot of us might not know about Fashion Nova, and Coy just says it like it's just that's a great example. It just comes out of Coy's mouth like, oh yeah, like Macy's.
Right.
But for a lot of us, we don't know what that is. That's a good example. And so that's where you young people get your type of clothes.
I was gonna say club clothes.
Club clothes. That's good. That's good, Sybil.
Club and vacation clothes.
Okay, that's where you get your club clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Have you
I
ever
had
gotten anything off of Fashion Nova, Sybil?
no, but I've not bought anything from Temu or Shein yet either. Except
Mm.
I got a gift card for my goddaughter. She that's where she wanted to get her stuff.
They have
Um,
gift cards.
hmm
Oh, they serious about it. Good for them.
hmm
Okay.
yeah. My example last week was in the hospital with a friend who was being treated, and they were trying to find the right vein for her antibiotic that they were giving her, the continuous drips, and they were having a hard time finding a vein because there had been a swelling at the site of the original spot, and so they were looking for a vein, and they brought in a sonogram machine, and this just tripped me out. I'd never seen this before, but I don't spend a lot of time in hospitals, so it was one of those situations where they put the liquid on her arm, and they did it with the object that they do, and they found the vein, and they were looking at the vein and where to insert for the antibiotic to go in. And they were having a hard time, and they could see a vein, and it looked good and healthy and everything, but they were having a hard time getting it underneath her skin and making, and I mean, they were really going, and they just, and she was in a lot of pain, and I was extending my hand so she could grab my hand. She was taking it all in. My hand's like,
Oh.
yeah, la 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 la, and but she was in extreme pain. And finally they brought in the old school nurse. She wrapped that rubber thing around her arm,
Yeah,
put the,
yeah, yeah.
put the needle in there, and there it was. I was like, y'all going through all of this,
So
they,
she didn't need the sonogram for her to find the vein? The
no.
old school nurse?
She
Oh,
just, I'm
wow.
telling you, she went in, found the rubber thing, just like, like they show us on TV. And there it was. Boom. I was like, you went to see that her arm was pregnant, and all this woman had to do was go in and do that. Are you kidding me? So sonograms used on something else other than a woman's belly
So
is
did
new to
they
me.
tell her to hydrate?
Well, yeah, but there was a lot going on. And so I asked, I said, for those of us that, have not gone through this, how do we make our veins healthy? What do we do if we should find ourselves in an emergency situation? She said the best thing you can do is just drink a lot of water. And I was like, I don't need to take anything so you can see them, She goes, no, because if you got people like this one, you just
Yeah.
this
So
was
Sybil, I
fun.
had some issues the past few weeks, Coy, and so I had to have a sonogram. So I went in to have the sonogram, and I drank some water, but because I do drink a lot of water, I pee a lot. So when I got there,
That's the other side of it,
I
right?
had to pee. So by the time I made it to the back, you have to have a whole lot of water for the sonogram to work. So Sybil, that's why it has to be something different. Because the way that Coy, let me tell you how much water you have to have. She gave me the 20-ounce cups. She gave me 2 cups. I just threw them back to get them over with. Then I had to go outside and sit for like 20 minutes because it had
By
to work
that
its way
time,
down. But Coy, when I went back, the little Asian woman, she tried it again. She was so frustrated. And she's like, ooh, not enough water. You big girls, it takes you longer for the water to come down. I'm like,
Dang.
she actually said, "You
You
big
big
girl."
girls,
she
it takes longer for
did.
the water
She
to come down.
did. So Sybil.
Dang.
So that's the question. So does it take more water to hydrate us big girls? Or how does that work?
Oh my god!
It'll just
But
take
no,
longer,
but
apparently.
I didn't know that sonograms were to find veins either. When Sybil said that, I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, they just took her arm and they put the gel on there, and both sides, I guess, to see where they could find the best vein for her to go in her right arm. And it was, I mean, they saw it. You could see that. I was like, "Is that it?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, that's not a baby." She said, "No, those are healthy
Right.
veins." And
Mhm.
so I know where babies come from, and I know where they're.
Do
Um,
you?
yes, yes, I do. But this is just, it was just so
So
amazing to
Sybil,
me.
this was hold on. This was Z Walker said.
They have to use butterfly needles on me. My veins are small and roll, and her veins roll too.
So
They
me too.
were.
So did they try the butterfly, or was it because of what
I
they
don't.
had to put in? It had to be that size
It
needle.
was an antibiotic, and so it was, and it was on a 4-hour drip, I guess, and so it had to be a certain size. And she had already had some swelling, so they were trying to be mindful of finding a real healthy vein that they could do it.
This is what I'm sorry, Sybil. Hold on. This is what Rose said.
Rose McCall on Facebook, good she didn't say you people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rose,
because
I would have preferred you people.
and I would have come back with, and if you people could do your job better, then my friend
Ooh,
wouldn't be
out.
having this problem.
No, wait,
So
no,
it's
you
better
can't.
that I wasn't there for that.
Yes, no, we're not doing that. Wait,
Yeah.
because I am a bigger girl, and she's just giving the information. Why are we offended
No,
when
no,
people
no.
tell the truth?
She's got really poor bedside manner, but
Yes,
that's
she
not
does.
her job. She
Hey,
ain't gonna do
and it was 5 o'clock, and that water wasn't going down fast enough.
So, do we have any other
You
things
people.
as we get down to the last few minutes? Things
Mhm,
that people have discovered that everybody else knew about?
mhm. Oh,
Olivia Ferguson on Facebook. That's why I asked the nurse how long the nurse had been working in the doctor's office.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
That's
that's
good. Yeah.
because these were some young people that were doing the sonogram, and I'm saying she was. You old ladies, no, no, that's not what I said. But she just seemed to be, yeah, she's the vein whisperer, as I like to call her. Mary J on Facebook. Ray Charles could have found my veins. That's what someone told me. Girl, sit still.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was it was painful. It was
It
painful.
was. And so when you get blood taken, it's painful.
No, it was painful to watch her
Oh, it's
and
painful to watch.
in what I mean. She's given birth twice. She has two children, and she's been through some things, uh, parts replacements and stuff like that. So this wasn't, but just to see the pain that she felt from them trying to find it and sticking this needle in as deep as they could. It was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that you've told me that, and you've talked about it a lot. It still don't make sense to me.
But you've been through that with your father-in-law,
Yeah, with Dad, he's never did
the sonogram.
the sonogram, and Coy with Dad. My father-in-law, he got down to like
He was very
150
thin.
pounds, and so, but he would still have to have blood. And you talking about painful to see this frail man and them having to get blood out. It's like getting blood out of a turnip. See how I did that, Sybil? I don't even know what that means. That's just one of those sayings that I hear.
Difficult. It's difficult.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Corey, you've heard that term, have you?
Hmm.
Oh, okay, okay.
A
uh,
time or two.
One. Do you have one or two others? People.
People are just really on this Timu thing. It's a lot of comments about the Timu. It's a
Manuel
lot.
Murphy on Facebook. I buy from Timu. When I buy merchandise or clothes, I buy it a size too big so they fit. I go several sizes up, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I size down because I
Oh,
just don't know.
Olivia has one.
Oh, hey, Olivia. Bell's is a store here in Florida. Yes,
Yeah.
I recognize Bell's from my days in Florida.
They don't
And
have,
we have them here. We have them.
we do?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's one over in Hearst, I believe, not too far from that Kohl's.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like Palais Royal, right?
No, it's more like a Kohl's to me.
Oh, it's like a Kohl's. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's a discovery or not. Charlotte Bowen Bellamy says, I always watch when I'm giving blood.
I don't. Why? Why do you watch that? Because even so, when I tried to take that semaglutide stuff, I
Mhm.
try a lot of stuff once. I couldn't do it, but a lot of people that take it, you have to take it once a week. So I am surprised at how many people go into the doctor's office as opposed to just turning your head and sticking your stomach and you're
Is that
done.
is that what you do?
That's what that's what I did. I just find a spot, I
So,
turn my
so is
head.
that why it didn't work? Because you weren't really looking to see where it was going?
You think that's why I didn't work?
Well, I like to see. I mean, maybe it went into a part
Well,
that doesn't.
wait, stop the presses. I wonder, was I doing it right? Hmm.
I'm
Okay.
just saying. I'm just saying.
All right, I'll try it again.
You'll try anything once or
Because
twice.
I'm just mad that a lot of people are taking that semaglutide and they are it's looking good, but my body rejected. And maybe I'm not shooting
Because it
myself up.
wasn't going in the right place.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Just a thought.
Do
Just
you
a
think
thought.
you could? Do you think you could give yourself the shot?
No. No.
Corey, you could.
Give myself a shot.
Yeah.
Ooh, I had to.
Yeah. It's really no big deal. But anyway.
It's a deal.
Oof.
I no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, a lot of people saying they can't watch.
Uh,
Mhm.
let's move on to trending and talk about what's going on. And Coy, you wanted to make a point before we ran out of time.
What was the point that I was making? Oh, was it about? I can't recall. Roger Fortson, I think.
Yeah.
The point that I was making about that was
Well,
what?
we'll move on. It'll come to you.
It'll come
Trust
to
and
me.
believe.
Right.
It's one who knows how that goes. Um, More than 1 million ineligible voters have been removed from the Texas voter rolls, according to the governor's office. Senate Bill 1 was signed into law in 2021, and this said that people who are deemed ineligible can be removed from the rolls. The governor's office said the ineligibles include people who have moved out of state, are deceased, and are non citizens. It's a sweeping elections law that, among other things, bans drive through voting, empowers poll watchers, and sets new rules with possible criminal penalties for those who assist voters in casting their ballots. And it also enables officials to remove people from the voter rolls. His office
Do they
broke down.
contact you when they remove you? How do you know if you're removed?
No, you have to go and find out. That's why we always tell people make sure you're registered and then vote. Don't just go out there the day of and say and just
But if
assume
I've been registered for 20 years, how would I know to check?
you should. Well, even if you don't know, we're telling people if you don't know, now you know. You
Oh,
need to check
wow.
your voter registration because
Really?
of bills like this.
Right.
Because who's to say that you may not have voted in the last election, you may not have voted in the last presidential election. They're like, well, that's there's they will just check them off the list, just cross their names out.
Wow.
And so here's how you can find out. There's a website called headcount.com,
Okay.
HEADCOUNT.com, and you find out if you've been purged from the voter rolls in error or for some easily fixable reason. Headcount.com, as in headcount.com. And there's still time to re register. For example, the deadline to register to vote in Texas for the general election is approximately 1 month before
Right.
the November 5th election, which is October 7th.
Right.
An eligible voter must be a U.S. citizen, a Texas resident here, be 18 years old, and cannot have been convicted of a felony nor been declared by a court to be unfit to vote. So that's where you need to get your information and find out how they have you categorized. And if you're a teenager looking to register to vote, you can register up to 2 months before your 18th birthday, as long as you'll be 18 by election day. So I'm sorry, ISIS. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's too bad. But listen to some of these things. Some of these people, these are ineligibles. More than 6,500 non-citizens as they're being declared. More than 6,000 voters who have felony convictions. More than 450,000 deceased people were still on the rolls, according to the governor's office. More than 134,000 voters who responded to an address confirmation notice that they had moved, and if they didn't respond, then they were taken off the rolls. More than 65,000 voters who failed to respond to a notice of examination. regarding this, and more than 19,000 who requested that their voter registration be canceled. Now, I don't know how that is done, but it seems a little suspicious when they say, well, they asked to have their voter registration canceled.
Right. Come on now.
Well, hold on for a second. Everything that you said made sense. I mean, if they're dead, if that's 450, they shouldn't be on. We know when
In Chicago, that's not a problem. We don't have that problem.
Well, we're not in Chicago. But what is wrong with clearing everything out to make sure that what's wrong with that?
Because what the suspicious person in me says that they're looking for any little reason. And even if it's like, well, that sounds like a dead person. If they're 80 years old and they haven't voted in the last two, oh, it sounds like they're dead. Let's just scratch them out. Let's declare them not fit to vote. We're going to take away their registration. I say that they're looking, and especially like when in Georgia and other states where they're talking about you can't have water, that'll stop you from voting if you have water with you, or you cannot give out water to people. You can't, any little thing that they're looking for to stop people of color from voting.
Well, I think that we should, in my opinion, I don't think that we should put everything.
Give grace.
Well, no, it's not grace. I just don't think we should put everything in the same bag. I understand what you're saying about the water, but if the felonies and the people that are dead or whatever, then I don't have a problem. See, I don't have a problem with doing what's right. It's what's wrong. And even if it's for me or against me, let's look at it. And I don't criticize it just because it's what they say.
I'm always suspicious of what they say.
They do. No, because they're grouping it together with what's right.
And they're looking for reasons. They're looking for reasons to take people off the voting rolls. They're looking for reasons to deny people to vote for somebody that they may not be in favor of.
Well, let's not give them a reason. Let's handle our business. How about that?
I'm in full agreement.
Yeah.
Let's go to headcount.com or go to vote.org and find out what your voter registration status is.
That's the message we need to give out, not what they're doing to us.
They need to know. Well, they need to know how a million people have been taken off the voter rolls. And you know what that million can do in a state like Texas?
A lot.
It can go a mighty long way, especially for someone who's running for the United States Senate in this election.
Right. Okay.
Which will make a difference in the balance of power in the Senate.
I'm with Brenda.
Don't give them a reason. You're right. Brenda Brooks-Berry on YouTube says,
let's handle our business. That's what's so great about Kamala Harris. And I'm glad that she's our person because of her education and her record and what she's done. I mean, you go really, really have to make something up to be against her.
Well, they're doing that.
Well, yeah, but still, she can still refute everything they say. And
I can't wait for the debate. Yes.
Well, if it happens,
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Of course, it's going to happen. He needs this debate as much as she does because, what he says. If you'll notice, whatever Donald Trump accuses someone else of saying, or an accusation he makes about their character, it's really a reflection of him. Yeah. He's like, she's not a good debater. She's not a good debater. No,
he's a narcissist.
When you are going up against the prosecutor, your skills are going to be shown lacking.
Yeah.
If I am his people, that would not happen. There's no way I would let him debate her. There's no upside for him. It's not.
But as Coy says, he's a narcissist and he believes that he's got this because it's still in his mind he's going to be debating Joe Biden.
Yeah.
That's why he wants to do it on Fox. He wants to do it on Fox and have all these other accommodations to try to, make him look a lot better. But I mean, even if he did it on Fox, it's still not going to help him at all.
And an open mic is only going to serve her. He knows that. It's only going to serve her well.
Well, what I heard is he wanted the closed mic. I heard he wanted to close mic.
And
She wanted it open because she wanted to bait him into saying some crazy stuff.
right, because an open mic, he will say some crazy stuff.
Yeah, eventually, if you let him talk enough,
He
he's
will
gonna.
find it. He'll dig a
Right?
hole deep enough that it will be difficult for him to come back out.
Yep.
Say it with me, narcissism.
Well, and inept.
Yeah.
A late summer weather heat wave rolling across the upper Midwest as storms are staring down the Hawaiian Islands this week. Chicago, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis are already seeing excessive heat warnings, at least this week, as much of the region will fall under heat advisories. There's a lot of concern, I know, from my people in Chicago. Today it was 97 degrees with a heat index of well over 100, and a lot of people are not prepared for that, and they are opening up these stations, heat stations, cooling stations for people that are affected by the heat. Forecast highs in the mid 90s to near 100, combined with the high humidity, sends the heat indices into the 105 to 115 degree range. Widespread heat related advisories and warnings, according to the National Weather Service. Um, and this is in connection to that. The number of heat related deaths fluctuated year to year, and there's been a sharp uptick in the last 7 years. And they said a lot of that has to do with climate change. According to the data, heat related deaths increased by almost 17% per year from 2016 to 2023. And researchers expect the numbers to continue climbing. This indicates that heat related deaths were the highest in Arizona, California, Nevada, and Texas. So
And so,
watch out for your folks. And
well, for those in Texas, because of the way our grid works, another thing that we have to consider
yeah,
is a lot of people's electric bill is like tripled, Coy. It's like
Yeah.
tripled. I mean,
Mm-mm-mm.
even at the yoga studio, that is the case for us. And I'm like, whoa, what happened? And I don't know how they explain. I haven't called, but I don't know how they explain your bill being tripled in a month.
Right.
it's well, it has to do with people. A lot of people wanting the air conditioned air and a drain on the electricity. We have to charge you more. So
Really?
if they charge you
Why?
more, that means that people aren't gonna try to not do without air conditioning.
And that's what's happened. That was actually my point. Thank you. That people are doing without AC because they can't afford it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm.
And still a lot of people don't they don't think they can afford it, so they do without. They don't even have the portables to bring into their homes, and they're suffering.
Suffering.
Or the other part of it is they have machinery that they need for their health, and so they call themselves doing without the air conditioning so that they can have this machinery to keep people alive.
That's crazy.
It
It is.
is.
So I know you're the weather person. Do you see what's happening in Arizona, like at the Grand Canyon with all of that water and how it's
Yeah, and how water has eroded a lot of the mountainside and the rock formations. And people are missing now, or they've been stranded.
right,
And
Coy. Yes. This has been around, these places have been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds
Right.
of years. And people gonna say nothing has changed?
right.
That there's no,
Right.
yeah, that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. And what are you going to do about, well, what can we do? It's going to rain. Well, if you're not going to do something, at least warn people.
Right.
Right, right.
Good gracious.
But the rock formations are changing. Some of these national or international treasures, these places that people go, and they're seeing
Right,
paving
right.
of some of the most beautiful spots that
The
people go
Grand
to take.
Canyon.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
go to take pictures of. And now, and people who try the trails of the Grand Canyon are seeing the effects of this by
yeah.
their climbing, and some people losing their lives or being stranded.
Mm,
It's awful. It's just
it is.
awful. Let's move to entertainment, and this is sad. Our um, best wishes and thoughts going to Mariah Carey. She confirmed that her mother and her sister died on the same day. her mother died from an illness, but they are specifying what that illness was, and it doesn't matter. Her mom died, and her sister
The
subsequently
same day
died.
of the same year?
No, the
The
same
same day.
day of the same year, like Saturday.
That
She
is
said, "My
sad.
heart is broken that I've lost my mother, and I lost my mother this past weekend, and sadly, in a tragic turn of events, my sister lost her life on the same day." According to People magazine, no other details, including Patricia, her mother Patricia, and her sister Allison's causes of death, are known at this time. But she lost her mother had been suffering from a, a, a situation, a condition, and she died on Saturday. Her sister died shortly thereafter on the same day.
Wow.
That's
Not
awesome.
like you said, not like a year apart, not
Right.
like
Right.
no, they
Oh,
died
I'm
on the
sorry.
same day. It's tragic.
Yeah,
It's just
that is
absolutely
tragic.
tragic. Um, let's move to Jewel, Yolanda.
Oh, let's, Sybil. So I'm excited this week about just relaxing and relaxing the mind.
Hmm.
Because Coy, as we share all the time, these jewels are for me, and it's just what I need, and I just share them. So I really feel like I need to relax my mind so I can receive other beneficial information in my mind for real. So anyway, relax the mind by practicing mindfulness, which encourages you to be fully present and aware of your thoughts without judgment. So to be present, you're not judging what you should be doing, what you should have been doing. It's like I'm right here with you now, enjoying your time and your energy in this space. And I'm not worrying about what my puppy needs or this
Oh,
call I have to make, but to be present. That's a form of mindfulness because our mind is always going. And I have really, really worked on slowing. And Coy, are you working on this? Because you and I talk about this. Are you
Mhm.
working on slowing your mind down and just doing one thing at a time and just being present with what you're doing?
and
Yeah.
especially while you're on vacation.
Yeah. And it's more so like, because I'm always doing just one thing at a time. I think it's more so slowing down my thoughts and getting like all that extra chatter to kind of like just stop.
And you
That's the thing that
meditate,
I'm working on.
right? Do you meditate?
I do, but I don't know if that's exactly helping. I think I need to get more physically active. Probably like do something like maybe yoga. Maybe I should start doing that, or some form of exercise that's different than the ones that I'm used to.
So doing exercises will slow your mind down. Tell me
Hmm.
how that connection works. I'm not challenging you,
Um,
I'm asking.
because
I'm challenging
focused
because I don't
on
understand.
I'm focused on my goal for that session or for that week. Especially if it's something that I'm learning that's new. Like I've been looking into trying different things. Like I'm considering doing capoeira because that'll give me a form of exercise that's exercise and dance. And there's a goal that I'd have to set in order to be, successful in that to execute the moves in that. So when I have something like that is that physically exerting and it's new, then it gives me my mind something else to focus on rather than the chatter, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Isn't that what meditation is supposed to do?
But I'm chattering already and I gotta make it stop.
Well, meditation is actually one of the biggest benefits for people like me whose mind is just always going. What meditation has really helped me do was to just stop and just keep bringing myself back, just bringing myself back, just bringing myself back. And I really have trained my mind, and it works. I'm telling you, because I used to be bouncing off the wall. Ward used to just walk in and just say, bring it
Okay.
down, bring it down, bring it down. Because I was always up here. And I just had to really slow down my mind, and it was able to calm me for real.
Well, it works at like certain points, but then it's always like something else comes up and something else and something else and something else. It's just I need something else that takes my mind off of my mind
To
and
take
not something that makes my mind like
What about like when you're just not doing anything and like listening to music?
it helps, but
Because
then it triggers a thought, that triggers a
but when you're
memory, that
doing
triggers something else I'm
activities,
thinking about. That it's too triggering. It is.
so
I've gotten
just
to that point.
consider this. I don't know that I'm right, but just consider this. If you're doing an activity, then you're thinking about what you have to do. You got to think. And so the purpose of slowing down your mind is so you don't think, so your mind
Right.
is resting. But if you are doing something, especially if you're learning something, your mind is not resting. And what we want to do in order to slow down our mind and to relax the mind, relax means relax. It's like you're not doing anything. And it's okay if you're meditating and your mind wanders. That's
It
natural.
does it too much. I don't know. My mind is at rest when I'm different.
But
when I
that's
learn, I'm
a judgment. That's a judgment. It's too much.
No, it's just it's me. I understand me and how I operate. When I learn, my mind is at ease. When I have something else to focus on, my mind is at ease. When it's quiet, or it's
one
the
question
opposite
for
me.
you. How's that working for you?
How's that working for me? In terms of working out?
Yeah, no. Relaxing your mind in the way that you've done it in the past.
Right now, not as much because I need a physical activity to insert. Because the meditating is not working. The doing nothing is not for everybody.
Meditation is not for everybody.
It ain't working.
I wish you success in whatever you choose to do to relax your mind, because when you're able to relax your mind, that's when your mind and your body is able to heal.
Right. Capoeira, here I come.
What is that? What is capoeira?
It is Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it was brought over to Brazil from Angola, from slaves that were from Angola.
Okay, you're teaching me too much. I got it.
Yeah, it's a fighting style that's disguised as dance. Basically. That's all I was gonna say. It's a fighting style that's disguised as dance.
That was an inside joke with me and Sybil, because people, I say the most ignorant thing to Ward and my sister and Ward and my husband when people are trying to explain stuff. I'm like, hey, don't teach me nothing. I don't want to learn it, nothing else, and that irritates them.
And I'm looking at the clock. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all very much. Welcome back, Coy. Yolanda, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all again soon.
Good to see you, Coy. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Hello.